Good evening, everyone. Welcome to this Thursday evening's webinar. I am I'm the health coach here with Ready Care. I am having a brain freeze. I'm the health coach here with Ready Care. My name is Chloe Tetro, and for this evening, I thought we might do something a little bit different than the usual format. So for this evening, we are going to be looking at the topic of motivation with some live exercises for people to do. So if you are watching this back, just make sure that for this session you have a pen and paper ready. You have a keyboard from your laptop, you have some notes on your phone, or if you are not able to write for whatever reason, it might be helpful for you to say some of your answers to the questions out loud. So with a lot of those things, it's usually better to say it out loud than to think of it in your head. The process of hearing it yourself and the process of saying it is going to help you gain a degree of clarity. So how the format is going to work for this session is I will conduct a coaching session with you guys as if we were having a one-on-one. So what we will do is look at the broad topic of motivation, especially coming into the Christmas period. A few of the members have mentioned that they're getting a little bit of the, what would you call it? A little bit wobbles coming into the Christmas period, just because they know that there's a lot of different things happening. There's more parties than usual. There's a lot more festivities. There's a lot more meeting old friends that are back in town and all of the lovely things that we all look forward to with the festive period. So what I have been asked is, how do we stay on top of motivation going through all of that? Now, most of you I would have chatted to have somewhat of a plan coming into what they're going to do for Christmas, be it take a day, maybe two off, and then go right back into the program. But let's just sink into this evening session to really tie you back to what is your motivator, what are your drivers, and instead of doing it purely theoretical, which is what I'd usually do, I thought we would do our little live coaching session. So, as I said, pen and paper at the ready. If you're watching this back, just remember you can pause this at any point. What I will do for this evening is I'll give a prompt and I might leave about a minute. So if you want to do a shorthand answer, work away with that. And if, as I said, if you're not able to do any writing, just speak some answers out loud for this evening, and maybe you might want to go back to the actual questions at a later date and really kind of get stuck in. The more you engage with this, the better the results with the motivator that you're going to get from it. So without further ado, so we'll start off question number one. What are your main values? So values differ from person to person. I talk about values loads. But if you can really have a think through your own life, what are some of the biggest values that you have? And what are examples of values? So you have things like curiosity, excitement, family, quality time, relaxation, growth, development. What are some of your primary values? And if you're not too sure, maybe name about 6 of them, 6 different ones that are your core important things that really matter to you. So I'll give you a minute, have a think about it. Think about 6 and then try to whittle it down to about 3. So I'll give you a little minute with that, maybe about 40 seconds, because a minute of dead airtime sounds like a lifetime. Now, what are your main values? Let's jot a few ideas down for yourself. And you can come back to this at a later date, but even throwing one of them down just for the rest of this exercise will be really helpful to really tap into your motivation. So think about the change you initially wanted to make. Now, it's easy for us to kind of utilize the 16-week program as we're chatting now, but if there are other changes that you have in your life other habits that you've looked to implement that you can feel the motivation dwindling a little bit at this point of the year. Let's take a second and place yourself back to why you originally started, how you were when you originally started. What was it about this particular behavior that you really wanted? What is it that you wanted to change and why? So again, if you want to jot down a few examples for yourself, and shorthand is fine. Don't have to do full sentences, and you can speak them out loud. Reconnecting to why you initially wanted to make this change. All right. Moving swiftly on. Why is it important right now? What about that reason? What about why you wanted to make that initial change is important right now? Really sink into that. Really go, okay, these are the reasons I had for wanting to embark on this program or wanting to make this particular change. These are my reasons as to why I wanted to. Now we're looking at why is that important now? What's happening in my life that these things are still really relevant and these things are really important to me? I'll give you a little 30 seconds just to do a quick shorthand on that again. So why are these reasons for wanting to make the change initially? Why are they important still right now? Okay, next question. Think of the best outcome a year from now. Okay, so things are going brilliantly. You've implemented your change. You're a year into it, a year and a bit, and everything has gone the best possible way. Okay, just take a second, maybe close your eyes if that feels comfortable for you, and really sink into how does your future self feel? I'll give you a couple of other prompts there. How would things be different for you physically? How do you feel physically? How do you feel in yourself? How do your energy levels feel? How do you feel in terms of your energy during the day? How do you feel with your psychological being? How are you feeling psychologically? What's different? A year from now, having completed the change and your best possible outcome, how are things different for you emotionally? What do you feel like? Really give yourself a minute to sink into that. What will you lose then? What will you have left behind in that year? What's gone? What have you left behind? How does that feel? And what would you have gained in that year? Having completed the program or whatever your new habit is, having completed that habit 1 year to the best possible outcome, how do you feel? Physically, psychologically, emotionally? What will you have left behind in that year? And what will you have gained? It's a big one now. Sink into that one. Now, think back on your original values, your first question that we went through. How will keeping up this change for this next year feed into your values? Now, How will keeping up this change help to bring your value to life? Let's say that you put down family. How will of keeping up this habit or this way of eating, if that's what you put down, or specific lifestyle changes, how will keeping up these changes help you with regards family? How is it going to really bolster that up? How is it going to nourish it? How is it going to feed it? If you said freedom, I love that one. That's one of mine. I'd always say it. If you said freedom, how will keeping up this change, this new habit for one whole year to the best possible outcome, how is it going to feed back into that from your initial set of values? Take a second now, and I'll stop talking for a second. I'll let you think. I give you a few minutes. How keeping up with the change for an entire year feed back into your values. Okay, halfway there, lads. Living on a prayer. Right. Think of yourself a year ago. What encouragement would you give yourself? Throw back your mind to November, November 24th, this time last year. What encouragement would you give yourself with regards this particular change or habit that you want to implement? Knowing all that you know now from the year between then and now, if you could look back at who you were this time last year and give them a piece of encouragement, what would you say to them or yourself? Remember, you can talk these out loud if you don't have access to a pen and paper, but it will be a little bit more effective if you can give yourself a little bit of a time to pause this video, looking back on it, and to answer a few of these questions. Okay, think of yourself a year ago, November 21. What encouragement would you give yourself towards the goal that you are looking to implement? Now, still on the time warp, think of yourself a year from now. So project November 23. Are we 23 or 22? Project yourself a year into the future. Best possible outcome. You've done an entire year of this. You've fed into your values. You're really enjoying the process. You feel amazing. What encouragement would your future self give your present self? What encouragement would your future self, a year from now, having completed everything, best possible outcomes, give your present self? Cooly booly. So, what can you see as your biggest obstacle to your end goal? Just take a minute, do a quick sweep, maybe just kind of sink in. What is the first thing that pops into your mind here? What can you see as your biggest obstacle to that goal? It could be externally driven. It could be internally driven, something that you're not quite on board with. The one I hear the most is scheduling, prepping, all of those kind of things. Degree of preparation, degree of organization, those are things I hear quite often as obstacles to the goal, or challenges, if you want to think of it in terms of possibility to be overcome. That's probably better. If there's anybody doing neurolinguistic programming, that's probably a better word than obstacle. But really think into what can you see right now as your biggest obstacle to that goal? What small action can you do today? So I know it's the evening time, but if you're listening back, What small action, the smallest little action, can you do today to set yourself up to overcome this obstacle or this challenge and move you closer to your goal? So you want to go right down to basics here. What is the smallest first step you can take towards this? I'll give you a second to have a think. Jot a few bits down or say a few bits out loud. Okay. Now, this one might seem a bit woo, but for those that have listened to a few of the talks I would give, you will understand the thought process behind it. State your desired goal in the present tense, not in the future tense, because your brain doesn't quite understand that gap. It knows what you are now. Starting with the words I am. So for those of you that would have caught this morning's talk on self-identification habits, your brain takes up habits much, 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 much better if it believes it already is that thing. So state your desired goal in the present tense, starting with the words I am. I will give you some examples. I am diabetes free. I am healthy. I am in charge of my own health. I am exercising regularly and enjoying it. I am having more fun with my family. So I'll give you an old second. You can throw a few of them around. They're actually quite nice to say. State your desired goal in the present tense, starting with the words I am. Now we're getting into the real applied neuroscience stuff here. Find 3 pieces of evidence, no matter how small, that support your I am statement. Now, I will go back to my usual cliche of all of you know this is my time where I have set myself up to go to the gym of a Thursday night. So if I say I am healthy, I am in good physical shape, I will find 3 pieces of evidence such as I walk often, I do squats when I'm waiting for the kettle to boil, and I go to the gym once in a while. So there's small pieces of evidence. They don't have to be massive. They don't have to be very constrictive and rigorous. Just any bits of evidence that you can find in your life, no matter how small, to support your new I am statement. So if you've put down, I am eating healthily, you can say things like, I make sure that I get enough vegetables. I go for a shop regularly and buy some healthy food. And I make it a habit to look up healthy, low carb recipes. I have an interest in cookery shows. I like to talk to my friends about new recipes I've enjoyed. I look forward to eating my little pack lunch at lunchtime. So I'll give you 1 minute there. 3 pieces of evidence, no matter how small, that support your I am statement. Now, last one. On a scale of 1 to 10, how ready are you to step into this new change? Really sink into that. Give yourself a minute. Close your eyes if needs be. And having traced back over the questions we've just done, on a scale of 1 to 10, how ready are you to step into this new change or to continue with the same degree of motivation that you have been doing your tasks to date? Perfecto. So, guys, that was a brief walkthrough. I say brief, but I'm still still 20 minutes long. Sorry. That was a brief walkthrough as to some of the questions that you can ask yourself if you find your motivation dwindling, whether it be the time of year, different obstacles and challenges that may have arisen in your life week by week, and that's very normal. You may feel the novelty factor of specific changes has dwindled ever so slightly. So know that you have access to this video. If you weren't able to write along this evening or had to do very shorthand, just know that if you block off a little bit of time for yourself and write these out with some answers that ring really true to you, that's important. They need to be from the heart. They need to be personalized to yourself. You will find that it's usually a good way to kick yourself back into a degree of motivation. Now, I'll open up the comments section here if anybody wants to pop anything in, be that feedback, comments, questions, anything at all. I'll leave that for a little bit. I know it's a little bit different now this evening than what we usually do, but I thought it might be, what's that say? A change is as good as a something. If anybody knows the end of that sentence, please pop it in the comments. You'll notice that my popular sayings I always mix them up. What is it? Every rose has a silver lining. Okay, cool. No comments in there. That's perfect. So that is me for this evening, guys. Andrew is going to be back with you next week. And have a lovely week ahead and best of luck with the exercises. Rest. Very good. Mind yourself, guys, and we will chat to you later. And Andrew will be back next week. See you later. Bye.